I spent 18 years caring for my childhood friend, John Wilson, who was battling a chronic illness, only for him to drown me in the lake after recovering. The same hands that once held an engagement ring now viciously clamped around my throat. Raging hatred burned in his eyes as he spat. If it weren't for you, people wouldn't call me a spineless coward hiding behind a woman. I wouldn't have wasted all these years missing out on Emily. Now that this miracle has cured me, why won't you just die? He never knew the miracle resulted from my 3 years of sleepless nights conducting medical research. When I opened my eyes again, I'd been reborn. Emily Davis was coaxing John to join the track meet, his timid gaze flickering toward me. Should I go? John, we need one more runner for the men's 400-meter dash. The teacher's voice sliced through my haze of traumatic memories. That familiar face made my blood run cold. No, I blurted, trembling as visions flooded back, our honeymoon cruise. John's deranged expression as he shoved me overboard. The frigid lake water couldn't rival the ice in his eyes when he snarled. Ivy Carter, you always have to control everything. You made everyone think I'm weak. I could have been with Emily all this time. Why won't you die now that I'm cured? I still felt the oar strikes pounding my skull. Saw his frenzied silhouette through murky water as I sank. All those years developing his treatment, wasted on this monster. In the classroom, John's eyes lit up before he shot Emily a furtive glance and snapped. Why shouldn't I participate? It's for class honor. Emily chimed in sharply. It's John's decision. Ivy, stop bossing him around. The ghostly lake chill still clung to my bones as I turned away. John had congenital muscle weakness, couldn't lift textbooks without straining, let alone sprint. I'd always covered for him, changing water coolers and doing his heavy lifting. Yet every time I helped, he'd sulk like I'd stolen his moment to shine. Now I saw the truth, he'd been using me as a shield while resenting my protection. But not this time. Ignoring his glare, I snatched spicy chips from my desk mate. Hand em over. Hey, those are mine. He lunged playfully as I deadpanned. Who said anything about stopping anyone? The track meet sounds great. Murmurs rippled through classmates who'd heard Emily's accusation. All eyes shifted to John's suddenly green-tinged face. The boy who'd rather die than admit weakness in public now squirmed under their scrutiny. In the past, I'd always resorted to throwing tantrums to stop him from going. To this day, many people probably still remember me as that overly possessive girl. John was like a parasitic tumor, sheltering under my protection while pushing me into thorns. Now, it was time to cut it out. I'd stab it a few extra times for good measure. Sports meet? You're going whether you like it or not. John stared blankly, probably thinking I was sleepwalking. He leaned closer and asked, Ivy, can I go? His eyes held timid hope, like a kid begging for candy. But deep down, there was interrogation. What an act. I grabbed his hand dramatically. John, do you have any concerns? Tell us. The class will help. Mimicking Emily's sweet tone. I blinked earnestly. John's face tightened. Just say you don't want me to go. Ivy. Stop playing games. I feigned confusion. Why would my opinion matter? It's your decision. My deskmate Lucy couldn't take it, tossing a spicy strip into her mouth. She snapped. Quit waffling like you're picking a reincarnation date. Why dump every choice on Ivy? She your mommy now? Handle your own crap. Didn't your kindergarten teacher teach you that? Whispers spread through the classroom. Eyes narrowed at John. Right. He always makes Ivy decide everything. Someone muttered. Remember when he claimed she wouldn't let him clean during duty? I had to sweep half the field alone. Same with moving textbooks last month. Ivy said no again. John's face flushed mottled red. Fine. I'll join the sports meet. Don't regret this. Ivy. Lucy rolled her eyes. Drama queen. Emily smiled serenely, her gaze challenging me. I grinned back, teeth bared wider than hers. John, your disaster-filled life isn't my problem anymore. But every ounce of suffering you caused me? You'll pay it back twofold. Seeing his name confirmed on the participant list, I practically floated home. But some people exist solely to ruin your mood. The woman shelling sunflower seeds at my doorstep scowled. Ivy, why isn't John with you? The feeling was indescribable, like sprinting through a meadow only to step in dog crap. Mary constantly praised me as the perfect future daughter-in-law over the years. No one took the neighborhood joke seriously until she kept repeating it. Whenever she saw my mom grocery shopping, she'd yell, "Hey, in-laws!" across the street. Gradually, the whole block assumed John and I were a couple. Mom hated it. But what could she do? Her daughter was hopelessly smitten with the pale, pretty boy next door. I'd wait outside every morning like an eager puppy for John to wake up. "John's delicate, can't lose sleep," his mom would say. So I timed our arrivals to the last bell, earning detention slips. Eventually, escorting him became my permanent duty. Since Ivy's so responsible, she should keep taking care of John, right? Little me had nodded solemnly. Thus began years of hauling 2 backpacks through rainstorms, frost, and sweltering heat, the human alarm clock for a boy who'd later weaponize my devotion. Following behind me was a slow-moving boy. That departure marked the beginning of 8 long years. Staring at the impatient woman before me, I realized this might be the first time John hadn't crossed my mind at all. A good sign indeed. I nearly burst out laughing when Mary shot me a glare. "Ivy, how can you laugh at a time like this? Don't you have any sense? John's health is so fragile. If anything happens to him because you weren't there, how could I ever entrust him to you in the future?" I tilted my head. "I had to go to the hospital today." Mary rolled her eyes and cut me off impatiently. "You should have taken John home first. Can't you prioritize properly? Go find him right now." That bossy tone mirrored her command years ago about my firstborn needing to be a son. Glancing around, I noted the absence of security cameras. "Old hag," I muttered through gritted teeth. "I've wanted to punch you for ages." As I wound up for a swing, the front door slammed open. My elegant mother emerged wielding a broom. So many pests these days. Can't even clean house properly with vermin crawling in. She glared at me before sweetly addressing Mary. "How fortunate your son's still breathing. Must be nice not worrying while ordering my daughter to chase after him. Or are you hiding skeletons in your closet?" Ah, that familiar warmth. I sniffled. Home never smelled sweeter. Though fierce with me, Mary only dared to glower silently at Mom, face flushing crimson. Another victory for Mom. This mirrored our past life when she'd always disliked Mary. Though I'd foolishly tried mediating until marrying John broke her. She'd held me weeping that day, but I'd mistaken it for empty nest syndrome. The truth struck on my wedding night, catching Mary sprinkling infant ashes on our bed. Mom had always seen clearer. "Since when do you visit hospitals? Are you sick?" Mom demanded, dragging me inside by the ear, wrapping around her arm. I grinned. "Just messing with her, Mom." Even after becoming top tier in my field last life, I still needed to cram textbooks now. Leisurely reading during morning study hall felt foreign. Previously, I'd wasted these hours waiting for John, fetching his meals, soothing his moods, then cramming lessons at night. My childhood dream of becoming as skilled as David, healing every illness, still burned. Part of why I'd loved John was being his protector. Unpaid bodyguard and caretaker rolled into one. What an idiot I'd been. Glancing at the empty desk behind me, I smacked Lucy awake from her nap. This time, I'd protect those truly worth saving. Being abruptly woken from a power nap is the worst. Even worse? Turning to see John hovering over me with puppy dog eyes. "Ivy, He whined. Why didn't you wait for me this morning? I shoved his bony chest away. Back off. Math period's next. Let me sleep. His angular face twisted in disbelief. You pushed me? Recognition flashed across his features. Are you jealous? Just because I walked Emily home last night? Newsflash, Ivy, I can have friends. Stop trying to control me. Spittle flew as his neck veins bulged. Curious heads popped up over textbooks like meerkats. So much for napping. Sitting up. I met his glare head on. John. I don't care who you hang with. We only walked together because we lived close. But let's face it, you're exhausting. We're juniors now. I'm done wasting time. Got it? His left eye started twitching, the same tick he'd get when refusing meds as kids. This reverse psychology crap won't work. The harder you push, the more you disgust me. Take notes from Emily on how to be decent. Ah. The fragile ego dance where every interaction becomes a personal attack. Exhausting. Honestly, John, you're just tiring. He barked a laugh. Jealousy looks cheap on you. We were planning the track meet. God. Get your mind out of the gutter. Fine, I'll walk you home tonight. Happy? He extended his palm like granting royalty an audience. Now hand it over. The hell are you babbling about? My breakfast. He slammed a fist on the desk. Face mottling. You always bring it. Stop playing dumb. I rolled my eyes so hard it hurt. Newsflash, princess, no paycheck. No service. I'm not your damn caretaker. Shut up. John's breathing turned ragged. Fingers clawing the desk edge. Lucy shifted beside me, hand inching toward her geometry textbook. Before I could signal her, cheap perfume announced Emily's arrival. John. She cooed, wedging between us. Some people are just emotionally stunted. Don't waste your energy. Her blush didn't reach those calculating eyes. Eat my muffin. After school. Maybe we can talk? Emily always played to win. I'd seen her orchestrate bathroom ambushes, spread vicious rumors, shove freshmen into lockers. But the boy I'd shielded from her claws for years now glared at me like I was the predator. Last chance, Ivy. John jabbed a trembling finger. Bring breakfast tomorrow. Stop making Emily clean up your messes. The door slammed behind him. Lucy spat toward his empty seat. Ungrateful prick. Should have let his appendix burst last year. Careful, Luce. I muttered, watching Emily preen at her victory. The vipers still in the room. Emily's saccharine smile turned razor sharp. Some people never learn their place. Do they, Ivy? She flounced off, trailing synthetic jasmine and malice. Lucy hefted her calculus book meaningfully. Next time, let me brain the bastard. I stared at the dent John's fist left in my desk. 6 years of shared lunches. Panic attacks during thunderstorms. That time we got lost at Coney Island, reduced to this toxic sludge. Pass the pencil sharpener. I said finally. Need to prep for the trig quiz. The past could rot. I had a future to build. The surrounding classmates chimed in agreement. Ivy lowered her head and grimaced that guy was insane. John's conditions strictly prohibited strenuous exercise. In our past life, I dragged him away from participating in sports events, only to be labeled a control freak. He'd watched me become socially isolated without uttering a single word of explanation. I became this possessive monster who treated people like toys, making my bullying some twisted form of justice. I still remember being publicly humiliated in front of John. His anxious eyes had darted around during that righteous trial, feet shuffling nervously. Yet when the crowd dispersed, he never brought back any teachers. After that, social interactions terrified me. Gradually, John became my only friend. He promised to always stay by my side. This lifetime, walking away isn't just about escaping you, it's about reclaiming myself. But I'll be damned if I don't get to kick you once. Around this time last life, my father's research was about to make critical progress. John had been selected for an experimental treatment program, his health improving enough to survive until my breakthrough. But luck doesn't favor fools twice. John, I can't wait to see your face when they revoke your treatment eligibility. Let's see how your gold-digging Mother Mary fights for inheritance shares when her precious invalid son can't even climb stairs. Mary had some tricks up her sleeve to seduce her way into the Wilson family. Shame about her multiple miscarriages before finally producing their sickly heir. Karma? Or sabotage? Either way, the kid came out defective where exercise exhausts others. It nearly kills him. Spotting John and Emily on the track field made me pause. Oh look. Matching workout outfits. Lucy was noisily sucking on an ice pop, shivering from the cold. I fished sunflower seeds from her pocket, eyes gleaming. We watched nearly 10 minutes of warm-up stretches, secretly hoping to see him cough up blood. Under Emily's increasingly weird glances, John finally approached the track. Suddenly, my gut twisted. That bastard's eyes locked onto me like heat-seeking missiles. Ivy, are you done yet? The stadium lights highlighted his mocking smirk and feigned exasperation. First you force me to register. Now you block my training. Are you mentally ill? His special talent was always shifting blame onto me. Lucy flushed crimson with rage. I gripped her arm tightly. One slap from her could actually hospitalize him. And getting expelled wasn't worth it. Studying John in his slightly faded blue tracksuit, I realized I'd never seen him like this, actually looking alive. We both hated athletic wear. Or maybe I'd loved it once. When David gifted me a pink bear print set with clumsily embroidered sunflowers. That night was my 10th birthday. Mom had waited by the door for hours. Just as I was passing out from hunger, she returned with a scowling man who resembled the photo she'd made me call Dad. The man named Father was always busy, so busy he's barely a blur in my memories. My mom was so busy fighting off everyone who called me a fatherless bastard that she barely had time for herself. My interactions with Professor David Carter were rare, but I vividly remember what he told me that night. Sitting me on his lap. His bandaged finger traced the sunflower as he said, "Ivy, Daddy's working on something very important. I can't be with you often, but I want you to grow like this sunflower, always facing hope. Even when darkness drags at your roots, keep reaching for the light. I'll always be here for you." Mom didn't even scold me for smearing cake everywhere that evening. I adored that tracksuit he gave me, wearing it constantly until the day Mary Wilson took John and me to the beach. While I splashed in the waves wearing my new swimsuit, John stayed dry on the shore. Maybe I got too caught up playing? When I turned around, John had vanished. Panic clawed at my throat as I raced across the beach, scrambling onto rocks to scan the water. This was the first time I'd lost John. When I couldn't find Mary either, along with our car, snacks, and clothes, the truth washed over me like icy surf. They'd abandoned me. Mom found me shivering with fever at the police station, wrapped in a scratchy blanket. She stormed to Mary's house, screaming curses that cracked into sobs. From behind the locked door, Mary's voice whined. I looked everywhere. Thought the kid went home herself. As if a 7-year-old could walk half naked across town alone. I didn't cry that night, burrowed in Mom's arms. But next morning, seeing my pink teddy bear floating in the sewage ditch, its stuffing leaking like guts, broke me. I clutched the sunflower stem John had cut for me, howling. Daddy lied. When darkness came, it was John who stayed, not Dad. Just a stupid tracksuit, John said later, kicking at the mud-stained fabric. His face stayed blank, but I noticed how his thumb kept rubbing the embroidered sunflower. Now I realize, he cherished it all along. Was it the jacket he loved? Or the girl who gave it to him? The memories shift like broken glass. Either way, I won't let John Wilson escape this. My silence must look like a blushing schoolgirl's crush. John stands shoulder to shoulder with Emily. That infuriating smirk playing on his lips as coworkers glance our way. He's always loved parading my weakness. This pathetic need for his approval he mistakes for control. Enough. Ivy. He snaps. Arm tightening around Emily. With Emily here, your little games won't work anymore. The office air grows thick. Even the AC vents seeming to hold their breath. I blink slowly, raising both palms. Relax. I'm not chasing anyone. The lie tastes sweet as I turn away. Sunflower pendant cold against my collarbone. Let him think he's won. Sunflowers know when to bend with the storm. Are you two together now? I came to congratulate you. Lucy struggled to suppress her laughter. You guys look so perfect for each other. You must be dating, right? John furrowed his brows, staring intensely at me as if deeply dissatisfied with how casually I could say such things. Emily stepped forward, linking arms with him. Even though you've known John longer, I can tell he hasn't been happy. Ivy. You should really let him go. My eyes widened. Who'd want to be with this jerk? The insult felt unnecessarily harsh. But someone reacted more urgently. John gazed lovingly at Emily. No. Emily. You've always been my first love. Only you truly understand me. Everyone else just wants to control me. But you treat me like a normal person, running and jumping with me. That's real happiness I've never experienced before. Watching John's sudden romantic confession and Emily's bewildered acceptance, my frown deepened enough to crack walnuts. Dude. Are you sure she drags you around because she doesn't know about your condition? They embraced dramatically like lead actors in a soap opera, basking in imaginary audience admiration. The awkward silence stretched until I cleared my throat. Teachers? These two are underage dating. John was shoved away so violently he landed but first in the sandpit. His neck creaked as he turned to see 12 teachers forming an angry phalanx behind us. Our homeroom teacher, who'd been frantically signaling me with eye twitches that risked facial cramps, finally exploded. Brilliant. Everyone else scattered. But you two had to put on this show for the principal? John scrambled up, hands raised. Sir, let me explain. Silence. I tolerated your tardiness because of your grades. But public declarations? Running and jumping to experience happiness? Police. You're moved just because she treats you like human? You'll date anything that moves. Huh? Emily paled. It's not what? The teacher snorted. Save it. Hanging with that trashy crowd. Acting like some little temptress, caught red-handed. Missing the subtext. John desperately grabbed my hand. Sir. Emily's innocent. Ivy and I are the ones dating. I gaped at him. His usual icy eyes now held pleading desperation as he mouthed, she helped me once. Take the blame. You like me anyway. I'll walk with you every morning. I kicked him away. Not happening. John. But I know a good neurologist if you need. When he turned to Lucy, our teacher turned purple. You mocking me? That night became legend, 2 lovebirds getting busted during Sunset Beach confession. Their names immortalized in detention hall history. The next morning, the campus buzzed with gossip about John two-timing his girlfriends. Did you hear? Some dude actually confessed his feelings in front of the dean. Who? Who confessed to the dean? That guy from class 3. Total legend. Took the heat to protect some girl. Then tried throwing his childhood friend under the bus. Damn. That's low. They say his name's John. Always trailing behind some quiet girl with that creepy vibe. From the neighboring classroom, I overheard everything. The other girl involved was Emily. Rumor had it they hooked up during sports sign-ups. Emily from class 3? Figures. We went to middle school together. She's got a whole army of idiot brothers with those stupid war god face tattoos, real psychos. Poor childhood friend. Think she'll get targeted? The guy's trash, can't even clean up his own mess. In our monotonous high school existence, even small scandals spread like wildfire. Though some couples scattered when the dean approached, half the student body stayed to watch. The spectacle grew as more dirt surfaced about Emily's past. I knew their whispers held truth. I'd seen those violent brothers firsthand. Lately, I'd been taking alternate routes to avoid them. After the field incident, John and Emily started parading around campus openly. The perpetually icy John now doted on Emily with alarming intensity, fetching iced drinks when she felt warm, picking gaudy wildflowers during errands. He trained obsessively at basketball, sweat pouring down his gaunt frame under the blazing sun, desperate to keep Emily's attention from wandering to other guys. The skeletal boy glowed with unfamiliar vitality, his laughter startlingly genuine. During evening walks, I'd sometimes spot them jogging together. I barely recognized John. That radiant smile and emaciated body belonged to neither my past nor present life. His oversized blue track jacket hung like drapery over sharp shoulder blades. When they passed me, his chin jutted upward like brittle bamboo defying winter winds. I pretended not to notice Emily's smug smirk. Exhaustion weighed heavy. In my previous life, tutoring John left me cramming lessons until dawn. We barely scraped into decent colleges. But the grind left me stumbling through my research career. Thank God for raw talent and relentless work. I'd already sent Dad my prior lifetime's medical findings, hoping to accelerate treatments. But it wasn't enough. This time, I needed to climb higher. Faster. Too many still suffered. My clock ticked mercilessly. I was editing research notes when Lucy burst in, eyes sparkling. You should have seen it. Ivy! John collapsed mid-sprint. Blood everywhere, gushing like a fountain. My pen froze. Did he die? Looked close. But the ambulance took him. Good. Death would have been too kind. Who knew our star student cared so much about John? Emily's venomous voice cut through the room. I turned to see her glaring eyes twin pools of liquid nitrogen. Ivy was the one who stayed by his side and made him happy. So why did he reach out to you first when he collapsed? What do you have that I don't? Is it because you're better at pretending? She glanced at the documents on the table and sneered. You keep staring at those worthless papers all day. Even the teachers can't understand that stuff. What's with the nerdy act? Addicted to playing genius? As she grew agitated, I widened my innocent eyes and whispered. Sounds like a you problem. All I do is pretend a little. And he can't forget me. How pathetic can you be? Even when handed opportunities, you still fail. Emily seemed shocked by my bluntness, her face twisting viciously. You bitch. How dare you? I'll have my crew gang rape you. I swear. She lunged for my hair. I kicked my chair back with a loud screech, slamming it into her shins. Her scream pierced the air as tears streamed down her face. When she tried slapping me, Lucy intercepted. The commotion drew classmates separating us. Huddling in Lucy's arms, I sniffled fearfully while watching the restrained Emily spewing vulgarities. Returning students exchanged stunned looks. No one expected their delicate wallflower to erupt like this. Resting my head against Lucy's shoulder, I glanced at the security camera in the corner before wiping fake tears. Mary arrived first, which disappointed me. I'd hoped for more dramatic developments. Pushing open the door, I found Mary clutching my mother's hands while theatrically sobbing. From my angle, I clearly saw the flash of panic and frustration in her eyes. This confrontation happened years earlier than my previous life. Thanks to John's sudden health deterioration, the Wilson family had moved here in haste. That timid boy kept being pushed toward me by that woman since God knows when. We grew close over years together. The sickly boy's condition happened to align perfectly with my father's medical expertise. I thought fate smiled on us. My studies could save my love. But orchestrated fate becomes poison. I later learned John was the Wilson family's bastard child. Later discovered their calculated friendship aimed to exploit my father's treatment for their inheritance schemes. They steered my life like puppeteers. Every delayed realization became chains dragging me into dark waters. I drowned in that lake. But the real monsters walked free. Lowering my head, I struggled to contain my fury. Hearing the disturbance, Mary turned with feigned relief. "Ivy! Thank God!" she wailed dramatically, rushing toward me. "Savior John! Those quack doctors claim he overexerted himself. This never would have happened if he hadn't stayed out late with you every night. You have to fix this." I sidestepped her grasping hands, frowning in confusion. Shouldn't doctors handle this? And when did John ever keep me out late? Mary froze mid-fake sob. "He's been coming home past midnight all week. Sometimes not at all," I thought. Her gaze slid meaningfully toward my mother's stormy expression. The implication hung thick in the air. I couldn't help rolling my eyes, tarnishing the joy of coming home. I looped my arm around Mom's and said cheerfully, "What are you talking about, Mary? When would I ever stay out all night? Mom was waiting at home cooking for me. Actually, I heard John has been dating someone recently. Didn't he tell you?" Mary's face paled, whether from the deliberate pause in my tone or some sudden realization. She forced a strained smile. "Don't joke like that, Ivy. You've liked John for so long. If he's dating anyone, it should be you." "How could?" Mom immediately bristled. "Small appetite? Then eat less pig slop. Spouting nonsense right out the gate. When has my daughter ever liked your wheezing brat? They just went to school together. Not marrying him isn't a crime." Mary chuckled awkwardly before adding, "Must be some cheap hussy seducing him. Don't be upset, Ivy. Really, it's your fault for not keeping your man in check. John still likes you. He'll come crawling back after getting bored. Men always play around before settling down. What matters is he'll finally marry you." I stared dumbfounded while Mom barked out a laugh. "Truly a gold digger's mentality. That skin of yours is thicker than a city wall." Mary's face flushed crimson, finally snapping. She shrieked, "If the whole neighborhood weren't gossiping, would I ever consider trash like you for my son? Clingy used goods. Your daughter's built like a dockside whore. And you're just a barren failure who couldn't spit out a son. My John will be a billionaire heir. You should have licked my boots when I offered." Like a rabid animal, she began stomping Mom's potted flowers into shards. "Where's your man at night? Huh? How many strangers has this widow dragged home? Raising some fatherless bastard I was blind to ever beg favors from." A gust of wind stirred as I stepped forward. My hips twisted, shoulder dipping as my arm whipped through the air like a bullwhip. The slap cracked across Mary's face like gunfire. "You're right about being blind. To think you could act this shameless here." Clutching her cheek, Mary trembled in shock before lunging at my hair. My foot met her stomach, sending her sprawling onto the porch. Mom appeared with a bucket of fertilizer, appending it over the shrieking woman's head. "Home-wrecking gutter trash. You think people don't call you out because they respect you?" Mom planted her foot on the bucket, eyes blazing like a general scenting battle. "They're just avoiding your stench." When Dad came to the police station, Mom marched out like a victorious rooster. The officers waved cheerfully at Dad. No trouble at all. Mary cowered behind a beaming fat man who kept bowing to Dad before scurrying away. Watching me devour takeout, Dad's gaze turned complicated. In my past life, I'd resented his absence until walking his path myself. "Not hungry, Dad? Don't like Mom's cooking?" He startled, mechanically picking at his food. "The materials you submitted, they're groundbreaking. Why take the risk? Aren't you afraid of becoming a lab rat?" Setting down my chopsticks, I met his eyes. Every day saved means lives preserved. I just want to spare others unnecessary detours. My smile softened. "I trust our nation. And you, Dad." The silver-streaked man studied me for a long moment before sighing. His chopsticks finally moved with purpose. Ivy Carter. You must have suffered so much. My vision blurred with tears for some reason. It's all in the past now. Mom pulled me into a hug while shooting daggers at Dad, who stood helplessly scratching his head. What nonsense are you spouting? You just got back and already made her cry. That night, Mom declared she'd avenge me and told me not to interfere. Behind closed doors, rain pattered against the window as I tossed restlessly. Clearly, Mom meant business. Emily Davis and Mary Wilson got into a fight at the school gate. Mary yanked Emily's hair while screaming, "You shameless hussy! Seduced my son after I spent 15 years raising him. You've practically killed him." Emily, who dropped her good girl act in front of classmates weeks ago, fired back, "John's practically impotent. Needs pills to get it up. Like mother like son, whole Wilson family's full of morons." I missed the spectacle myself, but Lucy gave a vivid play-by-play. Later, John reappeared at school. I stared at the boy blocking my path. "Shouldn't you be in the hospital? What do you want?" John clenched his jaw, left eye blazing with defiance and right eye screaming resentment. Finally, he slumped like a deflated balloon. "Ivy, you win. I'll be your boyfriend." My brain short-circuited. This felt like biting into rotten bitter melon. "Are you out of your mind?" His gaze turned glacial. "Isn't this what you wanted? Using my condition to force me away from Emily. But even if you have my body, my heart will always belong to her." I stepped back, keeping my tone measured. "First, I want nothing to do with you. Second, I'd prefer never seeing you again. Finally, get psychiatric help." John visibly relaxed. "Fine." I apologized. "You got your angry words out. We're even now. Meet me after school, we'll walk home together." He strode away mid-sentence, leaving me speechless. During my final days of school, John became a lingering shadow. "Ivy, are you insane?" He slammed steamed buns on my desk. "Stop this harassment." Fed up with his antics, I smacked his hand away. "You're the lunatic." I said I already ate. Why would I want your stupid vegetarian buns? But I bought these myself. He protested, holding up the buns like sacred offerings. "This is what I bought." His eyes were filled with disbelief as he stared intently at my face, as if expecting me to burst into shock or regret any second. I pushed him away and said earnestly, "So what if you bought it? Is it any different from other dumplings?" "John, you mean nothing special to me. Do you think this is some lover's quarrel? You expect me to come crawling back just because you brought a few bottles of water and snacks with that cold expression? What delusional nonsense are you dreaming up?" He staggered backward. "Impossible. How could you stop liking me? No one would ever." "Enough," John interrupted, that familiar unreasonable grievance surfacing in his eyes again. "You've liked me for years. You can't just give up overnight." "I won't allow it. Emily and I already broke up. What more do you want? Do I have to die for you to be satisfied?" If John were mute, that pitiful look alone would have branded me the heartless villain. All my past kindness toward him now boomeranged as poisoned arrows. He kept reappearing like clockwork, as if checking off some obligation. In the equipment room, John and Emily clung to each other passionately. "Emily," he murmured, "you've suffered these past days because of that bitch Ivy. She's just jealous I found true love and wants to torment me." Emily feigned concern. "But what if she really refuses to help? Ivy's always been selfish. She can't stand others escaping her control, even drove a wedge between me and Aunt Mary to get back at you." John's voice turned hoarse. "What choice do I have besides swallowing my pride to beg her?" A venomous glint flashed through Emily's eyes as she smiled. "Aunt Mary gave me something to loosen inhibitions. I have friends who can bring Ivy here. We'll record compromising videos. She'll either secure your medical trial spot or face mutual destruction. But that's illegal. John hesitated. Just lure her out. My friends will handle the rest. After heavy silence came his gritted reply, fine. That heartless witch deserves this. Darling, you'd never abandon me after inheriting the Wilson fortune. Would you? Never. Ignoring their continued plotting, I switched off the recorder and slipped away. My weeks of surveillance finally paid off. Dangerous snakes shouldn't be allowed to keep slithering freely. The day of John's arrest made city-wide headlines, a dozen thugs chased by police through downtown. I shivered recalling how Professor David's inspection team had coincidentally crossed paths with those knife-wielding hoodlums targeting me. What began as attempted assault transformed into a national security incident when they blocked the renowned scientist's motorcade. 18 arrests followed. With prior records, those gang members faced maximum penalties. The judge turned to me. Miss Carter, any statement to add? Academician David Carter sat across from me, smiling like a kindly grandfather from next door. I kept my head down, ignoring my father's frantic glances. The damning audio and video evidence in my hands could bury them all. But I didn't care about that. What mattered was his stance. The old scholar's smile never wavered, his eyes piercing through souls. The materials you submitted don't just surpass current technology by nearly a decade. Some of these innovations provide complete solutions and entirely new research directions. The implications are... I looked up sharply. When fate gave me this second chance, it wasn't just to settle scores with scum. But the fact remains they've harmed me across 2 lifetimes now. I want them crushed, disgraced, destitute, broken beyond recognition. That's the justice I need to see. David nodded as if we were discussing whether. And after? If possible, I said. Tracing the coffee ring on the table, I'd resume my research. Some are born to walk through thorns. Maybe I can clear paths for them. The words tasted like truth. No wealth. No power. Just answers for the incurable. 2 researchers behind him froze mid-note, their pens hovering. When we walked David to his car later, he paused at the door. What if we refused your terms? I shrugged. I'd grudgingly devote myself to research anyway. His laughter echoed through the courtyard. The years blurred after graduation. Laboratories replaced classrooms. Conference rooms became second homes. Some faces disappeared completely. During rare calls with Mom, I'd catch fragments of neighborhood gossip through the static. The compound's peaceful now, but all your old friends are gone, she'd say. After you left, the school cracked down hard on bullying. Remember your high school principal? Got fired over some scandal. I learned about Mary Wilson's downfall through these snippets, how she brought pregnant Emily Davis to the Wilson family's succession announcement, claiming the child was John's. The DNA test had been brutal. Got her fancy apartment repossessed too. Mom chirped. Broke her leg running from debt collectors. Now she's harassing that poor Emily girl for support. Kid dropped out of school and caught some nasty disease. I let the words wash over me. Some stories weren't worth keeping. At family gatherings, Mom would push a toddler toward me. Meet your sister. Don't follow your workaholic parents' example. Xiao Bao. The boy babbled nonsense, making me fiddle with my glasses. Guilt nod. I'd missed his first steps. His first words. Time accelerated. Dr. Ivy became Professor Ivy. Then the Ivy method. My children weren't biological, but thousands carried pieces of my legacy in their healed bodies. I taught them from my own textbooks. The lectures often ended with me dozing off mid-equation. The last memory comes sharp lab coats blurring into funeral black. They draped the flag over me with trembling hands, whispering equations like lullabies. Through half-closed eyes, I saw Ivy Carter in a research uniform, another rebel ignoring Mom's advice. My students turned colleagues muffled giggles, clutching dog-eared copies of my books. Their murmur calculations blended with the rustling flag, a perfect requiem for a life measured in discoveries, not years. I drifted off to sleep listening to the murmurs of reading. Literature carries the essence of wisdom, passing the torch of knowledge through generations. How wonderful!